You're listening to the Motor Mouth.
Everybody's here. This is a round table here that's absolutely terrific.
Mr. Christian and Brother Ray, how are you guys? You guys bring so much to the Long Island automotive community. It's unbelievable.
Motor Mouth.
Hey, Motor Mouth guys, how are you?
They had me laughing all day.
Would you argue with a man who's thinking of booze and wearing a Motormouth Radio T-shirt?
Charlie will touch this little como se llama thing.
I am listening.
I call you guys at various milestones, like when I hit 100,000, when I hit 2.
Motor Mouth.
You guys got insurance?
I can't believe through the miracle of modern radio I can actually hear you.
I was listening to the radio and I wanted some advice.
Our trained staff of 2 will help.
He's a motor mouth for one. Maybe I'll call him an FM.
We have a sighting, a Motor Mouth Radio T-shirt sighting in the pits earlier.
Quite frankly, there are better things to do with your time.
But now you know how I feel when you're making fun of me.
Ray was doing some Italian accents, and Chris, you killed me when you mentioned some place in Brooklyn, free housebreaking wee-wee pad.
Went over to your link and I ordered my Motormouth Radio T-shirt.
And you don't have to be Jewish to join either.
Motor Mouth.
I did not listen to your advice.
What?
Yeah, I know.
I've been listening to you guys for probably about a year now.
So is this the infamous shop bench?
This is the shop bench.
Right, and a handsome shop bench it is.
There are answers, sometimes correct ones, and we may have them.
Motormouth Radio, 90.3 FM, WHPC.
Motor Mouth.
This is Motormouth Radio, your one-hour automotive talk show. And now, here are your Motormouths, Chris Switzer and Ray Guarino.
Alrighty, the hot rockin', flame throwing, gut busting, wrench spinning, tire squealing, bumper bashing, teeth grinding, whatever the hell this thing is. This is Motormouth Radio, your one-hour automotive talk show right here on Long Island. I'm Chris Switzer, and of course, here's a man who has so many ways to repair a vehicle. The easy way, the hard way, and the way that will probably get him the lead story, or you, the lead story on your local newscast. It's Ray Guarino behind the shop bench. How are you, my brother?
Good, Chris. And, of course, sitting next to me on my right is a guy who may be all thumbs on an Xbox, but he's thunder fingers on a Moxie DOS or a G-Scan. Joe D.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you.
Thunder fingers?
Thunder fingers, yes.
You have to know the reference.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to have to blush now. Too bad the monitor's not in color.
Hello, Thunder fingers.
Yeah, see? As long as you can also throw in the ox, too, if you want.
Right, sure.
That's right. That was a good intro. I liked it.
I was listening to some music this week, and it came to me. It's a bass reference.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, yeah. All right. I kind of figured it was something that had to do with long hair, leather pants, and a big fat bass.
Who? Mr. Entwistle. Bass player for was nicknamed Thunderfingers.
Oh, okay.
Because of his funky, fast fingering on the bass.
Keith Entwistle? You said?
No.
John
Entwistle.
Keith Moon.
Keith Moon.
Drummer.
That was the drummer, yes.
Got it. Okay.
Usually put those two next to each other, yeah. Okay, so we've started the rock and roll show.
Right, starting it with a musical reference, which is something
Maybe I should put
we're
the hat on.
We're not too unfamiliar with.
No.
And, of course, we have a phone, and it's working. 516-572-7440 to get you in on this mess that we like to call Motormouth Radio. Oh. And
for later.
I'm very glad that we're also on live on VonLive.tv/Motormouth Radio. You can find us on the camera. The camera is situated where it usually is. It's in the back on the drawer, and with a lot of wires hanging from it. But
that someone not in the studio may know what we're doing this morning. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much.
All right, good.
That's right. Because Ray just dropped a box of parts on the shop bench.
Donuts, yes. That's
donuts.
That's visual aids.
Oh, okay. You're teasing me again. Donuts? Who said donuts?
Yeah. It's visual aids.
I heard donuts.
So, Joe, how was the week?
It was the usual craziness, busyness, whatever.
Yeah.
Luckily, the weather wasn't so bad, so being outside was not the usual terror on my joints and so forth. And now that the weather's going to be getting colder in the next couple of days, I went out and I went into the drawer and did my thermal accounting.
Right.
So that way I know how many days I can actually go outside.
We spoke about that last week on Thursday. We were talking about Chris's tire pressure gearing up method with the clothing and whatnot.
Yeah, I know Admiral Perry.
And we were talking about thermals.
Did you have like a husky with you or something?
I don't like being cold.
One would think.
I'll sit here and you can tell me about not liking to be cold. They make so much fun of me.
So what's Joe? We'll get the third the fork of the triad here. What's your thought on thermal underwear or thermal clothing? What way do you like to go with this? Do you have a specific type or brand that you like?
Basically, I just have that waffly stuff. That's
old
been
school.
around, old school, and I like layers.
Okay.
Because it depends on where at least I know I'm going to be, is that sometimes I will be outside, like pushing a car or something like that, and I definitely want to be Nanook in the north. I mean, and there's other times where I might be someplace where I have to like shed some of the outer shell for maneuverability, i.e. under a dash with my feet up sticking out a window or whatever, in which case I still got to be warm, but I have to move around. I find that basically the thermals followed by like a T-shirt, followed by a sweatshirt, and that's usually about it. That and the hat. Always have to have the hat.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a hat of choice?
Oh, yeah.
You wearing it now?
Yes, it's the invisible hat.
Yes.
I got that from the Harry Potter gift shop.
You have the hat with you.
Yes, of course I do.
I only go to the hat when it's really. It's got to be really cold.
No.
You're not a hat wearer.
No,
That's
I never
great.
was.
No, as a matter.
There you go.
That's old school. Yeah, that's old school.
As a matter of fact, my
wife.
If my wife is watching this or whatever, she'll recognize this as what we call this as the nice hat.
But the fact that you have it over your headphones.
I have this hat on for everything. I actually kind of tie it to my earlobes when I'm under a car. When I'm out like leaning under a car.
They should make them with loops, like they make the stirrups on.
Yeah, it's like that hat,
things.
like what's his name, Klinger used to wear, or Radar with the flappy things. I have one of those.
I have one of those too.
They just kept flapping.
That's a Mama Luke of a hat.
It is, isn't it? It's great.
You're another guy that I have to school in the ways of new school because again, that's very old school.
Oh yeah.
And I was talking. Now the hats are
like 1980 something.
Half as thick. What?
Right.
I know you're pointing to Joe.
No,
I know that's Joe.
Look at that hat.
I see that hat.
See, that's the hat I was talking about. I have a skull cap.
I pictured one even older than that.
Yeah, but it's one of those skull caps. I was trying to tell Ray. In the early 70s, they were like experimenting with polyester, basically.
Right.
This was like a polyester stretch hat.
It's not just for pants anymore.
No, and it's so stretchable that it's literally you can wash it, you could burn it, you can do anything you want to it. It will still stay blue and it'll still stay elastic. It's not like a woolen hat. And I use it all the time. I put the hood of a sweatshirt over my head and then put the hat on top of it. And I am Superman at that point.
So wait a minute, you have the hat over the hood?
Put the hood on?
Yes.
And I thought I was crazy for doing this?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you.
Okay, you got me beat.
I'm going to show you a picture. I have it on my county leisure pass, and I think it's from 1973.
Joey's Beetle Bailey right
And I have both of the accoutrements. I have the old school cable knit fisherman's turtleneck sweater on that's right up to here. Right. And I have the old woolen watch cap, which is like, God. But that stuff is passé now. Joe, we were talking about things like Under Armour and the
yes, I know. I actually own some Under Armour. Yeah, that stuff's pretty good.
How can you wear thermal when there's Under Armour? I mean, that stuff you could wear under a suit and go out dancing and feel comfortable.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I don't know. It's kind of. I just kind of got used to that waffly feeling. Besides that, when you go to wipe, it's
true. I'll give you that. Yes, it is great for wiping.
You know, you get used to that waffly feeling, and you can't go back.
Right.
I guess not.
Not only that, when it's finally tatted to the point where it's unusable as clothing,
you make a cutoff shirt out of it.
Well, yeah, I've got tons of those. However, I was thinking also it removes wax really well.
Yes.
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
yes.
because of the waffly things.
Well, I'll tell you something. I still have in my bag of tricks in the garage some old cloth diapers.
Right.
We had them now we didn't use them on the kids because my kids were of the the disposable diaper age.
Right.
But we did use them as burp rags.
Yes.
And I saved them, and they're great for wax or polishing chrome or doing stainless. Yeah,
nice and soft.
You know what I noticed about thermals? Once they get old, they tear, but in the weirdest places. Do you ever notice a thermal? Like you have a thermal shirt that's old enough that starts.
I actually do.
Getting holes in them. Like you expect it to get on a seam. No,
right.
no.
Oh, no.
Not mine. Like almost like, but over every nipple. There's a hole.
I'm
like, it's turned into one of those type of shirts now.
It's because of the hardware he has underneath, I think.
I was going to say...
Spikes.
Right at the belly button, there's a hole.
There's the other piercings, the other side, right, where you got the bolt.
I'm like, I put the shirt on one day, I went, no, so who's messing with me?
I have learned not to, once I put on my thermals, to make sure that if I do have to walk outside before putting the rest of my clothing on, to make sure to do a check. Because if there's too much ventilation, it's time to retire those thermals.
Right.
Also, I have the gratitude of the female members of my household.
That point and go, Dad, you're not going out like that.
Yes. Are you going to wear that? No.
It's especially the pants, the thermal, the thermal
long johns,
long underwear. The long johns. Where's the hole? It's not at the bottom of the crotch. It's like in the back of the crotch.
Right.
It's like goes right up at the top of your crack. That's where the hole is.
Exactly, which is where the air is going to sneak in when you bend it over.
I'm like, who made these things?
It's some type of conspiracy. It has to be.
All right, I want to talk about cars.
Yeah. All right, let's take the tinfoil hats off.
This is going to another place here, and I'd really like to talk about something mechanical.
Let's do some car stuff. I mean, the thermal stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the phone.
516-572-7440. No, let's take a quick break.
Let's take a break.
While we're here at Motormouth Radio, we're going to take a break. Joe D in the studio. Ray Guarino. I'm Chris Switzer.
Joe D in the
And remember, where is it? The Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Let me see, it's this side of the paper here. The Honor Group of the Hour today. If you're saving parts for vehicles you no longer own, that's right. If you got a garage full of junk for cars that were long out of your driveway, then you're part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Keep it where you got it. Got a lot more of this mess coming your way. We're going to talk more. So hold on.
The Motormouths will be right back with your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440.
WHBC 90.3, the radio voice of Nassau Community College, is looking for individuals, businesses, charities, or organizations in our local global community that would like to donate to support our radio station. Whether you listen locally or online, here's how it works. Go to our webpage at ncc.edu/WHBC and click Donate Now. Or if you prefer, you can send a check to WHBC Radio, 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York, 11530. Make your check payable to the NCC Foundation. In the memo of your check, write WHBC, Donate Now. Any contribution will help defray our operating costs, and it's tax deductible. This message was brought to you by the radio voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHBC. Streaming online at ncc.edu/WHBC.
Your car not running right? Let the Motormouths help you out at 516-572-7440.
We're back. We're bad. It's Motormouth Radio, your 1-hour automotive talk show. Joe D, Ray Guarino, I'm Chris Switzer. All ready to rock and roll with your calls at 516-572-7440. To the phones, going to the fun and saying, hi, you're on with the Motormouths.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I'll tell you what, I was hoping that Tom from Massapequa would call so I could start drinking early.
No need.
But when you did the burp diaper...
Oh, the burp, yes.
I poured my first red beer.
Thank you, Bob.
That's enough to, yeah.
What do you have against burp diapers?
Well, Bob, is part of the drinking curriculum when you can hear how Motormouth Radio can get the furthest away from talking about cars, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, Tom, I bought some property down in Sarasota.
All right, so wait a minute. So you're going to jump on me for talking about a burp diaper when I was the guy that brought it back to automotive talk, right? You got to get in the studio so we can talk in person, Bob. Really, we got to do this in person. We need a face-to-face, a mano-a-mano.
No, I have my distance for a reason, guys. I have my distance. No email,
good taste.
Phone call now and then.
Gotcha.
You know?
All right.
So,
that's perfect, Bob.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
You definitely have this way of enhancing a program.
You'd be surprised what we know.
All right, so yesterday the girls took me out car shopping.
All right.
Uh-oh.
All right, and I have considered the Suburban
because it's not going to be changed to 19.
Right.
All right, 19 is going to be changed. If that doesn't happen, I'm okay. I can continue to service it. And for the bride, I narrowed it down to the GLC from Mercedes.
Ooh, wow! How
Very
sweet.
No, don't get me wrong. This has. I looked at. It wasn't the brand thing. I looked at the utility, the size, and the value.
And you look to a Mercedes.
Is this on purchase?
Absolutely.
Is this
go
purchase
go price out a Tahoe or go price out a mid-size crossover.
Bob, is that on purchase or lease?
It would be a buy.
Oh, okay.
Wow. So
you got us scratching our heads.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
Well, yeah. So
I'm absolutely
explain.
serious.
Yeah.
Educate us.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you why. Just say for argument's sake, Honda Pilot loaded.
Right.
Okay. It's $45,000 to $50,000.
Wow. I didn't realize
that.
They're up there.
And then a little bit different in size. Not by much. Her commuting car. Look at the Chevy product, or look at the Audi product, or we have friends over at Kia, and I said, no, that's not where I want to go for inner city driving because it's just not going to hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Great car though, great vehicle.
Right.
Looked at Mercedes. It was reasonable in the specs for ordering. And around 50, around 50.
So let me ask you this: is it maybe? I would think it'd be a little skewed on the service side, though.
I was thinking of that as well.
I can appreciate that, and I know I'm going to pay a little bit more, but I'm going to buy the 4-year service contract.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Good idea.
So you're going to give them the $$3,000 up front.
It's not that much. It's not $3,000. The extended warranty. They're warranted up to 50,000 miles, but the service contract is $1,400 for 4 years.
That's not bad.
No, it really
downright
isn't.
reasonable.
That is not bad.
That is true.
Well,
you got somebody.
I wanted to look at the Volvo, the new 60 line.
I heard it was much improved. I was reading it was much improved. I haven't got a chance to see one.
But I wanted them to do the same thing they did with the 90, their large one, and it's not going to be for 2 more years. And it's no rush. It's no big deal. Listen, if I had my way, I would consider something else. But I thought the totality of the value, and not getting, I'm not driving it for the moniker. I'm not. That's truthful.
I don't know.
You don't have to impress us.
You
with that.
live in Long Island. We know.
We believe you.
We know.
I'm
go
serious.
Go to the mall.
I'll tell you something, Bob. I respect the opinion of anybody who does research like this and comes to their own conclusion. It doesn't have to be a conclusion that we would necessarily come to. So we're with you on that. If you're happy with it, then that's all we need to hear.
But I'll tell you the truth. We do want to know the first time you take it service.
I'd like to know, follow-up information.
Yeah, we would love to know how this, on a long-term test basis, we would love to know.
Well,
because we want to be proven wrong. Because we're sitting here going, "Oh boy."
No, listen, I don't have disposable income to have a $2,500 service.
Right.
I don't have it. And that's the truth.
Well,
that's
with the Mercedes, you're going to look like you have it.
Well, as I said, I thought ordering it reasonably, and she's being reasonable. She wants to look at a couple of things. Yes, they drove beautifully.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, they
drove
do
beautifully. Mm-hmm. And if I shop it correctly, and we have a meeting of the minds, because some people go in and just write a check, they don't care. I can't do that. I gotta get the.
Do the Mercedes dealers, do they work with you? Are they good like that? Will they work with you like other places? Are they kind of steadfast, like our product is our product, take it or leave it?
No, they weren't that way at all. I went to 2 places. Do you mind if I just mention the town?
No, of course not.
I went to RVC and the one in Massapequa. Mm-hmm. I did some homework online for, say, 3 other cross-shopping brands.
You got Lakeview, too, right over there in...
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same as the RVC.
It is the same as the one on Sunrise? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And no pressure. Let my wife... My wife went for an extended drive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they were fine. Good. So anyway, enough of my nonsense. Back to my red beer, and then after your show, the ball game's on at 1 o'clock.
All righty. Wow, you got a full Sunday planned.
I got it going on.
I'm going back.
Than you?
I don't binge watch at TV. People do that, but I found myself binge watching last night and even today for a little bit. Let me tell you something. Hill Street Blues is on.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And I love that show.
Heroes and Icons, is that the channel?
No, it's on 112. It's
Bob,
I'm going to tell you, one of the best written.
Bob, I'm coming over to your house, Bob. We're going to have some red beers. We're going to sit and watch the game.
The most amount of content packed in a show. They close topics. They even have. Look what they even have in the opening credits.
Oh my God! It's a Camaro. Yes.
For God's sake.
There's even there was an opening shot with
you guys
this.
are drinking the wrong water today.
I'm telling
Let me tell you something.
Ray is.
No.
One of the best. So that's what I'll be doing this afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Have
Thanks,
a great
Bob.
afternoon.
We'll talk to you soon. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Decades. Thank you, Rob. Rob Leonard just refreshed me that it is on Decades.
Decades. What? Decades Network? What the heck?
Channel
is that?
112 on cable. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Whatever. One of those.
Next week it's Kojak.
Where's my lollipop?
So I'll have a shaved head next week when I come in and have a lollipop, right?
Oh, you got a shaved brain already.
So it's something new.
Doesn't make you a bad person.
516-572-7440 is the phone number to get a hold of us right here at Motormouth Radio. You want to answer the phone? Do you want to? Okay, let's do it. Let's go to the phone. To the fun. Hi, you're on with the Motormouths.
Hey, good afternoon, boys and girls.
Hey,
Mark.
What's up, Mark?
Out in Radioland?
Yes.
Come on.
Radioland is a freaky place. What are you doing?
It can be. Just sitting there watching you guys.
You are? Hey.
Absolutely.
Hey.
I do have a motor question, though. Hey, how you doing? How are you?
Let's call the delay.
Okay. My sister has a, 2005 G35.
Okay.
Infinity.
Okay.
She said every now and then at a stop sign or a light, whatever, it wants to go, but it doesn't want to go, and then it went. Okay, she said the AT light came on.
Sounds like it's conjugating.
Okay, so I took it for a test drive, of course, and it's just fine. It's great. No knocks, no slips, no nothing. But once in a blue, it does have that taking off from a stop sign. It wants like a slipping clutch feel almost.
And you said the AT light comes on?
There's an A/T light. It's auto transmission or something else. I forgot what it was.
Yeah,
okay.
Anyway, that's tranny, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I hooked up the gizmo to it and the error code reader, and it came up with some kind of error code. I don't recall what it is offhand, but I looked it up online. And it said basically there's a switch or a valve in the valve body that's going bad.
Ooh.
Okay, but I mean, the car rides fine. Other than that, you know, it's just once in a blue.
Before we get to the diagnosis, Mark, we have to take a break. So we're going to leave you on.
Go right ahead.
So we're going to leave you on. So
hang on there.
Hold on one jiffy.
I'll be hanging.
All righty, you hang. We're gonna have Joe D dig into his mind or look at whatever he's going to be digging into to figure out what's wrong with Mark's car. Ray Guarino, I'm
watching cats.
You're watching, right, animals play with other animals.
I thought that was this.
You got a lot more coming your way. Believe me, there's a diagnosis here somewhere.
The Motormouths will be right back with your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440.
This is a potted plant. You can't see it because this is radio.
You're listening to the Motormouths.
Bill Horan presents Secrets of Success, the show designed to help listeners uncover their hidden talents to maximize success. Listen to Secrets of Success Wednesdays at 4 p.m. and Sundays at 7:30 a.m. on 90.3 FM WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Streaming at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Your car not running right? Let the Motormouths help you out at 516-572-7440.
Back at you with a vengeance. It's Motormouth Radio, your one-stop shopping for all things automotive. That's right. Get your shopping cart, start going up and down the aisles, because we're talking to Mark. He's got a problem with his Infinity? Was it Infinity?
It's my sister's 2005 Infinity G35.
Yes. Right. It tends to go when it shouldn't and stop when it has to. Or it goes when it has to and stops when it shouldn't. Something like that.
Like I said, for the most part, it feels good to me. You know.
It's that one thing that doesn't feel good that's going to bite you.
Right.
And Joe made some funny noises at the break, so I don't think it's going to be good.
It's a good thing they had the volume turned down.
Yeah. What do you got, Joe?
Well, basically, it said something about a pressure switch inside the tranny.
Either inside the valve body, on the valve body itself.
Okay. That means that whatever it is, without knowing the specifics, it's not reading pressure. You know, I just went through this with a guy in the shop. He had a Honda Pilot where it had a code for one of the pressure switches not responding the way it ought to. And, boy, am I kind of glossing that over. But it's kind of this, it might be along the same lines. In other words, the computer has probably about 3 or 4 of these, if not more, switches.
Oh, I must say, they told me there's a computer on the thing itself.
Yeah, there's DCM, yeah. And what's going to happen is that the pressure has to be in a certain place at a certain time, and the switch is there to tell the computer, yeah, it arrived, no, it didn't. So what's going to happen there is that if the pressure's not in the right place for whatever the reason, whether it's the switch or maybe if the pressure ain't right, you're going to get that code. The fact that it kind of slipped in the process there, which I think is what you're describing, all right, kind of tells me that it might be a pressure issue. A lot of miles on this thing?
Oh, gosh, not a ton.
Do you know if she's had the transmission serviced at any intervals at all?
I honestly couldn't answer that question.
Okay. I think a trip to the tranny shop is in order.
Yeah.
Well, she brought it to a tranny shop, and you can't buy the parts. You can't buy the valve switches or the
really
whatever is on there.
It's
you have
the
to buy the
entire
whole
valve
thing.
body. It's the whole
you have
shooting
to buy
match,
the
right? Yeah, as a matter of fact,
nice.
I just found I was just kind of flipping through. They do have a TSB that goes back about certain pressure switch codes. And they're like, yeah, okay, check the power and check the ground to the transmission computer. Oh, that's good. Yeah, okay, put a transmission computer
replace
in
the
it.
unit.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one. That's what somebody said. Oh, it's going to be about $3,500 to replace the box. And I said, no, that's a lot. I mean, that is the way it is. The part itself, the Infinity part, is $1,200, and it has to go to Infinity to get programmed.
Right.
So you're talking like $1,900 out the door.
Yeah.
Wow.
This stuff ain't cheap no more.
I know.
It's
insane.
Basically, it happens once in a blue moon.
It happened to me. I drove it for about 10 minutes, and she said it happens more than that. But I just felt it once.
Okay. And the tranny shop is pretty much condemning the unit?
No, just the valve body itself.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean by the unit there. Well, I would say if they did they say something like, yeah, we've seen this before?
Yeah, I think they did.
Okay.
Said it happens once in a blue.
I mean, that's one thing about a tranny shop. I mean, since they pretty much sit there and do nothing but trannies.
That's correct.
So I'm sure they've seen it before.
Yeah. But after a while, there are certain what they call pattern failures.
Right.
I mean, if they've actually had to do this kind of thing before for that problem. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to think. There's a couple of Nissan products that I've run into where Nissan makes you buy that entire valve body assembly. It's like, sorry.
Right.
And,
yeah, that's the way they sell it.
Right. I would say if everything else was kosher as far as the maintenance of the training, whatever.
Yeah, it's been maintained, though, yeah.
Right. No reason to suspect that we've got any kind of wire and harness issues. Yeah, it's going to happen. The other thing is, I wish I had a little bit more specifics. Sometimes what a lot of the car companies do is if they realize that there's a glitch or something in a certain sensor or a switch or a certain behavior, what they'll do is they'll make that behavior a little harder to occur by reprogramming. In other words, you notice how you mentioned it had to be programmed?
Yeah.
They could download more different software. My minivan, my toolbox on wheels, a couple of years back, we get stuck in second gear because of a minor drop in pressure, which we did the valve body and stuff like that. And what we realized was the pressure was caused by internal wear. The thing had 140,000 miles on it or whatever, and there was nothing much we could do. Except that when it got stuck in second gear and somebody's driving down the LIE in second gear doing 70 at like 8,000 RPM, we didn't want that light coming on so much. So it turns out Chrysler had a reflash. All right, we reflashed it, and I'm going to knock wood and say that the situation now has been ameliorated.
Yeah, it probably increased line pressure.
What it did is it did a couple things, but basically it loosened up the parameters, so that way it didn't happen. You may want to see if there's a possibility that there's a reflash.
Interesting.
I mean, I can't really check for that without knowing, but there may be something like that floating around up there.
Worth looking into, Mark.
Yeah, sure is. It's a lot better
I'll
to
pass it on.
start with that than a $3,200 transmission.
Go out and get a B&M shift kit.
Yeah, well, but
Star shifter on
and be done with it, right?
I'll tell you, Mark. Right now, in my eyes, this car is now a laboratory. Now let's try mechanic in a can.
I don't think it's that bad yet.
I don't think there's anything for that.
No, I don't think it's that bad yet.
Like Marble Mystery Oil in there.
But, I asked the guy, do they sell aftermarket valve bodies? And he goes, yeah, they make them, but, we kind of get married to them because there's always an issue.
Yeah.
Right.
So I said, all right,
Yeah, there are certain things you're better off getting from the car company.
Right.
And I'm also, I asked the guy, says, I want the original part that came out. I want to see. Just for my own knowledge,
So you can make a mobile out of it.
Oh,
and hang it.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
You only need door stops. Never have enough door stops.
Make a lamp out of it. You could.
Our regular January guest, who we have to get in, Pat Seppi from Dial Transmission, he's told us right here in the studio that newer transmissions are made to a lighter tolerance. The parts are lighter. And he said they're kind of made to wear out. Like you don't have a wiggle room like where they would use drum. They would typically reuse the drum. Right. Now they can't. It's like new drum. You just need it on a rebuild because the old ones, they just wear. They're thinner.
Yeah,
so we're all a victim of that downsizing in parts.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Just wanted to make you guys aware and get some little input.
All right.
Okay. Guys are great as always.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a good day.
We're waving by.
Okay. No, wave. I'm not seeing anybody wave.
You wave.
There
Give
you
me a second.
There you go. All three.
Hey,
thanks a lot, guys.
Let's all do it.
Two-hand wave. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 516-572-7440 is the phone number. I mean, I'm sure that's why they probably sell the whole entire valve body because of that. Because it's
I would imagine.
It would probably be better off for the car companies and for the service.
There's another reason, too.
Put it all in all at once.
Another reason, too. If they sell just a bare valve body, then they would have the springs and the balls and everything else in little bins, and they would have to pick that stuff. When they're making the transmissions, if they make X amount of valve bodies extra while they're already being made, they get stuck on a shelf, tagged and bagged, and now you don't have to do any of the other little things with it, too. So it saves them money on the other end. Manufacturing processes have all changed.
Oh, definitely so. It's too complicated for a lot of this stuff. Not to mention in a shop environment, depending whether you're talking about the skill level of the technician or you're talking about a lot. It's like people don't do starters and alternators on the bench anymore because you don't have time. And you may possess the tools, the precision measurement tools or whatever to do it, but you got to get this thing getting out. And if you could do it in 6 bolts and a half hour versus 2 or 3 hours with the car tied up in the bay,
some of them are 6 hours just to get them out.
Yeah. That's it. You want to do it once. You don't want to go back.
Exactly.
No, that's for sure. I'm not a fan of doing anything transmissional.
Oh, heck no.
Nothing like that. Not like the old days.
That's why my guy gets a bottle every Christmas.
516-572-7440 is the phone number. Joe D is here in the studio with us. Ray Guarino. I'm Chris Switzer. Let's take a quick break. While we're here, you could also check this show out on Performance Motorsports Network. You can check us out on iHeartRadio. They love the fact that they have to deal with our silly stuff every week just like you do. So give them a big hand. But anyway, check them out. You can also check us out on motormouthradio.com. A lot more coming your way. Plus, the great big bleach incident that I had in the neighborhood that Ray already heard about, but you haven't yet.
Is that why you're blonde?
We'll be right back right after this.
We'll be back with answers to your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440. Oh, I should have said the motor mouth thing.
Yeah, I want to know what is wrong with my car.
You have a short in your horn. Motormouth Radio, 90.3 FM, WHPC.
This is Glenn DeMilt. Join me every Tuesday and Saturday afternoon at 5 for 2 big hours of music and memories with the chairman of the board. It's Frank Sinatra on Sinatra's Serenade. Each week we'll take you on a musical journey through the career of this entertainment icon. It's all about old Blue Eyes. So listen to Sinatra's Serenade on WHPC 90.3, the radio voice of Nassau Community College.
Streaming online at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Got a car question? Give the Motor Mouths a call at 516-572-7440.
All righty. That's the phone number to get a hold of us, 516-572-7440. The phones are on fire. Let's go back to him right now and say hi around with the Motor Mouths.
Yeah, hi, guys. This is Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Danny.
Hi, Dan.
Oh, how's everything,
Right. Doing well. How are you?
Good. I was just calling, what do you call, on the Jeep,
Yes, Dan has got a question for Joe. We spoke about this off air, and I said, call in and talk to Joe about this.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Shoot.
So, what I did was I have a 98 Jeep Wrangler with a 4.0, 6-cylinder.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
And what I did was there's a known problem with them where the exhaust manifold cracks.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So what I did was I did some research and, like from the internet. And what I did was I used an exhaust manifold from a 2000.
Okay.
It's a two-piece design,
right.
Cast iron compared to like the stainless steel one-piece, which was better. So I had to use that, and then I used a Walker Y pipe that for it, And I tell you, it's running beautiful. I mean, it's amazing, nice and quiet, no check engine lights on. But
Excellent.
The only question was the oxygen sensor.
Okay.
I think the upstream oxygen sensor before was reading off 6 exhaust ports.
Right.
Okay? And with the setup now, with the Y pipe, it's basically kind of like the same location, but it's only reading from 3 of the exhaust ports because of the Y pipe. You think that's
So the question was the engine's only seeing data stream from 3 cylinders on that first O2 sensor.
Right.
Is that going to be a detriment in the long run?
I mean, the check engine light hasn't been on. Like I said, she's running good.
Right.
All right, seems to be behaving itself. Well, that vehicle there, too, in those years, they weren't that smart. I mean, basically, you got one O2 sensor in the front, you got one O2 sensor in the back. There's a lot of averaging out going on there.
Mm-hmm. Because I know the 2000, they used 2 sensors up in the front.
That is correct. That is correct. They used 2. They actually broke it up into bank 1 and bank 2.
The only other difference, too, which I was a little concerned about, but the exhaust ports on this one, on the 2000, is just a little smaller, slightly smaller.
On the exhaust manifold.
On the one that I'm using, off the 2000.
On the manifold, the exhaust manifold.
On the manifold, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So slightly, like my head is the 0630, and this is the head from the 0331.
All right. So you're thinking there may be a little step down restriction going from the head to the exhaust manifold.
Slightly, but I'm not racing the thing. I mean,
but you've already said that the vehicle runs well and performs okay. So I think you just negated that little bit of a step down there.
Yeah, I think you're going to be okay. Well, you might have an issue, maybe, is that, let's say, if one of the injectors or you have a vacuum leak or an injector leak or something like that in one of the cylinders that's not being read.
Right.
All right, it may not show up as easily, or you might find that one of the ones where it is being read is going to have more of an effect. But you know what? All things considered, I don't think it's going to be a real big deal.
I was thinking, like, worst case scenario, if you had an injector that was just running real rich on one of the 3 unmetered cylinders, that could affect the second O2 sensor. Because it's not being picked up, like you said.
Right. Yeah. There might be a little bit of skewing going on there. It might be a little bit harder to troubleshoot, but
but in the long run,
these things, all things considered, I don't think it's a big deal.
I mean, some of the forms that said you could extend the wire and put it in another location, but I was going to say cutting the wires. And,
if you were noticing a problem or something like that. You may want to relocate the sensor. They make the what they call the bungs. You can put them in a pipe, whatever.
You'd have to put it at the common section after the Y.
Right.
Because you certainly couldn't add the second upstream sensor because you have nowhere to plug it into. There's no port. You don't have the computer. So you'd have to put the new sensor in the say down by the V or the Y and then plug the first port. Yeah, and that can be done because, like Joe said, Jeg Summit, they sell O2 sensor bungs. You weld them right in.
For a lot of reasons, people want to install their own sensor in their own location. Sure.
Joe, let me ask you also. I mean, like this, so far so good. And the fact that the exhaust ports are slightly smaller on the new exhaust manifold I put on, is that gonna? I'm not gonna like blow the head gasket or anything, is it? I mean, it's not gonna.
As long as you're not pounding on the thing, I don't really think you're going to notice.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, think through time, how many V8s and cars we had. Get out of that box. That's my stuff for you. We had mismatched ports, and that's how we got into gasket matching and opening things up to make it. So I think through time, there's been a lot of mismatch from the factory, and
you might lose a couple horsepower in the top end, but who's counting? And if you're doing that with a Wrangler, you should have put headers on it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know,
I tell you, and it's funny. It was just a bad design. Up until 2000.
Stainless steel manifold.
Yeah, and it's a lot of labor. It's a lot of work.
I don't know why they would have done that. Do you have any idea why they would have gone to a stainless steel exhaust manifold as opposed to cast iron? Has to be cheaper.
Right. Why would they have gone to the stainless? Maybe they were having durability problems.
Cracking issues, maybe?
Or it could be something with the way it sheds heat. I have a funny feeling they did. If they actually went to a stainless manifold as opposed to a cast iron,
there's a reason.
Yeah, they would. They had to bite the bullet and spend the money.
Yeah. Well, Dan, are you the original owner of this, or did you buy it used?
No, I bought it from the original owner. Yeah, I bought it. In fact, the car I bought it with. There's no mileage on it. I bought it with 40,000 miles on it. So I have about 60 on it now.
Right. There'd be no reason for the original owner to change the manifold. No. So
what happened to it? It cracked?
Yeah, it cracked. Yeah, it cracked, and it wasn't bad when you started it up, and but when you were on the highway, it would drive you nuts. But it's all of them.
You can weld cast iron, and you can weld stainless steel too.
I tell you, even Forms they tell you, everybody they weld them, and then what they did is they sell like a replacement, the same type, but with a little flex connection. And even those, they said there was no, they all have problems. Because I think they said the motor was the movement, in the car, and it's that 4.0 is a long, motor, and something has to give.
How long have you had this on the car now, Dan?
I had this car here about a year and a half.
No, how long has this repair / modification been on there?
I just recently did it. Yeah.
So you know what? I mean, nothing as you could tell from our conversation, nothing's going to come over here and jump up and bite you on the left one. Mm-hmm. So, might there be some little bit of goofiness down the road as far as as far as maybe a funky drivability problem or something like that? Yeah, maybe. Because now you're into territory where you've kind of deviated a little bit from what they engineered. But it's a Jeep. It's an early OBD2 Jeep. They weren't that smart, and they were pretty much they're tough little critters.
Mm-hmm. So,
and depending on how you drive it, which I figure that's like a sane person. I mean, the only insane thing I know about you so far is you listen to us. But other than that,
you haven't seen the stuff he collects.
But I would say right about now, I would drive it for a while. Maybe you drive it in the warm weather. You know what I mean? Drive it in a couple of
give it some service
scenarios. And pick stuff up. I mean, you could start picking. Believe me, you could pick nits all day with certain things. You know what I mean? Like EGR performance. The O2 affecting the fuel trims, you may notice your gas mileage might change, but you know what? There's no benchmark because you've kind of hung an orange off of apple.
Right.
Well, actually, more like a pomegranate, which is the Chinese apple, off an American apple.
Yeah.
Or
that's a much clearer comparison now.
Yeah. But I tell you, I'm going to monitor the gas mileage because I tell you, I was getting about 17, 18 before. So I'm going to see. And it's manual transmission. And,
let that be part of your guide. Yeah, I think you're gonna be okay, Dan.
Yeah. They're
But,
tough little critters. Yeah.
Let me. I tell you, I'll never sell this thing. I love this thing.
That's awesome.
All right,
have at it, man.
All right, guys.
Thanks so much,
Dave.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Dave.
Take care.
Bye. 516-572-7440 is the phone number. It's a shame you couldn't get the original part for it, but hey, if it's running well, why not?
I wouldn't do that on a later model vehicle, but it's an old Jeep. I mean, those things are pretty tough. They're like anvils. There are certain engine combinations out there that you pretty much give them some fuel, give them some spark, they'll just keep running. Try not to hit them with, try not to drop too big a rock on them, and they'll just keep going.
And they're made to drive over the rocks.
That's it.
So, in my curiosity, I was looking in that box that Ray was explaining to Dan the procedures with his O2 sensor, and I got chased out of there.
Yes.
And I want to know why.
You want to do this? You want to do that? You want to do that? We got 3 things on the table. What do you want to do first?
Let's do the box.
Let's do the box.
Then we'll talk about the bleach later.
We were talking about choke. We were talking about pressure last week.
Yes.
Talking about fuel pressure regulators.
Right.
There you go.
This is an air pressure regulator.
Ooh.
They do the same thing.
All right. Hold them up.
Chris, you use a very common pressure regulator every day in your life, in your house and at work.
I do?
Yes, you do. Can you think of what it might be?
I would say scotch.
Yeah. Every time you open a faucet, you're using a pressure regulator.
Very true.
You're regulating the supply pressure coming in to the actual faucet pressure. It's just a pressure regulator. It's all we call it a faucet, but it's actually a valve. It's a regulator.
It's a valve. Yep.
Yeah. Then we got into chokes. We were talking about all sorts of different chokes. I went into my supply.
Good old Blue Streak. See, that's the little bimetal.
Yeah.
Curly Q. Yep, that one there. That's a choke from a broken home.
Yeah, bimetallic strip. We were talking about. I have other ones too. We were talking about Dennis's GTO, and this is the bimetallic choke, Chris, that we were talking about that goes on the intake manifold in the well.
Now, this is what kind of spring is this? Bimetallic.
It's bimetallic.
What is this? Is this assembly called anything?
It's a choke thermostat, and if you look right here, you see here. Here we go. Look at the box. Look at the standard box. The CV15. It says it right on the box.
It says choke thermostat, but it doesn't say where applications it works on.
It does not.
That's why you need a parts guy.
Because these were pretty broad. See, this is the rod that'll go up to the carburetor.
Right.
Now, well,
that you just popped off.
What happens is, as that metal has the ability to change state.
Right.
In other words, and because it's a spring, it will wind itself. It'll wind tighter or looser,
depending on the temperature.
It's tight now. As it heats up, and the bottom body, as it sits into the manifold,
that's making contact with the heat riser there.
Right. As this heats up down here, Chris, this piece heats up through convection to that spring. It'll actually loosen the tension of that spring.
Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but are there 2 different types of materials on this spring? There's a material on the inside of the spring of the metal, and the.
It's more of an alloy. It's bimetallic, means two metals.
Right, that's what I mean.
It's an alloy.
Metal.
It's 2 metals, but it's an alloy. It's not like strips.
Oh, I thought they were layers.
No. Well, you'd see the layer, and it couldn't be because the layer that wasn't. Yeah, one layer would fight the other. So no, it's the actual alloy. So that's this is the divorced choke that I spoke about. Simply because the choke is not on the carburetor, it's on the intake manifold.
Right.
So it's divorced from. Then you get into this type of a choke.
How about the happily married choke?
This piece here.
Right. That's the one I'm familiar with.
This one actually takes this is I don't even know what this is. This may be a heat port. No, it looks like a vacuum port.
It looks like a vacuum port.
But this is the same thing. There's your bimetallic spring, and you'll turn that and adjust the choke thermostat.
There's a vacuum right here. And
I got these.
The thing is right.
That's a real rotch.
That's a ratchet, yeah.
That's a rotch. Yeah, this too. This is off a Holly.
Are you done yet with that?
I'm displaying.
Then as I discussed, again, this is the rod to your carburetor. This is a Fiat choke, and this takes water lines. It's hot water. So the Italians decided to use hot water instead of hot air.
There's some chaps who do that too.
Yes. Well, no. Like Joe said, the Japanese had done that, and it works. That's what's on my car right now, on my Fiat, and it works like a charm.
Madonna mia, this thing is under the choke of the car.
The only interesting thing is there's actually a seal in there that keeps, because the water goes in, you have water in this housing. Well, not now, but you have water in the housing. And you don't want it to leak into the mechanism.
That's why Chico says, hey, where's the seal?
But again,
the seal?
You turn it to adjust it. This one says Weber right on it. This is a Weber part that's on. Yes, it's Weber.
It's got Web feet.
So there's your chokes and your regulator lesson for the day.
Thank you very much. And I hope people can see this on vaughnlive.tv/motormouthradio because we've confused the listeners.
The adjustment procedures are pretty much the same, but you do them a little bit different with these things. Now these can all go back into my stock of parts,
right?
Like you discussed earlier.
Joe, which brings up a question that I asked Ray earlier.
Right.
Showing a box that has the part in it.
Right.
At one time, they used to put on the box itself, they would put the applications of which vehicles that part fit.
It depends.
Some parts, yeah.
Some parts.
Well,
like an oil filter at one time, like we discussed.
You see, you gotta remember too that it depends. Like something like an oil filter, which may just as easily end up in the hands of a mass marketer versus an old school jobber. An old school jobber, we will have a guy. Oh God, I'm going to date myself here. He'll look in the book and say, "Oh, look, this takes a CV15." You know what I mean?
But is the jobber in a store or in a hut? You just got to get that out.
You're sitting there watching, what's the name, with the bikini on.
Sorry, did I break your train of thought, Joe?
Totally.
It's off the tracks. It's down by the station.
This is a trial by fire. You got to learn to keep like a steely-eyed glare on your thought and don't let it waver because he'll do this to you. Chris will do it to you.
Watch. Well, while the steely-eyed glare is happening, while Joe is developing his glare, we're going to take a quick break right here at Motormouth Radio. We're going to find out why the parts box don't have the applications to the cars or the cars that the part belongs on like they did in the old days. We're going to figure that out right after this. But first, the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour gang. If you have those said parts for vehicles you no longer own sitting in your garage or your basement or your kitchen or in your dining room or wherever you have them, if you do, you're part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Keep it where you got it. Ray Guarino, Joe D. I'm Chris Switzer. Got a lot more of this mess, and I'm afraid it's coming your way.
Have a question about your car or someone else's car? Then give the Motormouths a call, 516-572-7440.
Quite frankly, there are better things to do with your time. Motormouth Radio on 90.3 FM, WHPC.
WHPC, Garden City, New York, the voice of Nassau Community College.
Join WHPC's Daily News Wrap-Up, weekdays at 4:30 p.m., bringing you a complete report of the day's news home and abroad, as well as sports, weather, and many other informative features.
We're Long Island's FM alternative.
Hey! Excuse me.
Motormouth Radio.
All righty. Welcome back to Motormouth Radio. We are taking those calls. 516-572-7440 is the phone number. With Joe D in the studio, the phones are on fire. Ray Guarino, I'm Chris Switzer, and when we last left, Joe is developing the steely-eyed glare.
Steely-eyed.
He was working on it.
To explain why you don't see the applications for parts on the box that they arrive in.
Wait, where's that box, right? Give me. Okay, so basically, first of all, let's go with the common sense approach.
Okay.
You don't happen to have any oil filters in there, do you?
No, I should have brought it back with me. I have it in the garage.
The box is about big, right? Okay.
Yes.
For those of you, I'm holding my hands apart a certain distance.
Yeah.
And you can write a lot of stuff. How much you going to write on this little box?
It's real estate. Yeah.
Okay, because essentially these used to be done by carburetor number.
Okay.
All right. So in other words, I would have about 15 or 16 8-digit carburetor numbers written on this. That unless you have like really thick glasses or really young eyes, you ain't see it.
Right.
But now, wouldn't it be a good idea if they were able to apply?
I think I can answer that too. If a person walked into a parts store to buy this, they couldn't go to a shelf and find it and look at it by application.
Right.
And there wouldn't be a fold-out book to look at. You'd have to go to the parts guy for this.
Right.
So there's no need for that. The parts guy, like Joe says, is going to know CV15. He's already got his lookup. And he just goes to the shelf.
Yeah, you see, something like an oil filter, basically like there's the Chevy,
or an air filter.
Back in these days, yeah, there was like maybe 3 or 4 different oil filters for like your GM products.
Right.
All right, and maybe about as many air filters, but stuff like this, there might be, if memory serves, like there were like 7 or 8 of these for any given.
You had them for 1 barrels, 2 barrels, 4 barrels.
And now you're holding the choke box.
And you had them for Rochester's, Carters.
Yes, you would.
The choke spring.
Yeah, there's a lot of these. All right. You might have a couple that even look the same.
Yeah.
That because they have different
different temperature qualities. You want to get the right one.
And that's the thing. That's how precise it was. But the reality is you could fudge it because the rod is where all the adjustment takes place. That just supplies the tension. The rod supplies the actual amount of movement of the butterfly valve.
Mm-hmm.
So a guy that was good would know that the rod is where everything takes place. So you could put. I didn't even know what they were for. I just used to grab one, put it in the car, and then adjust it to make it work the way I liked it.
If you have an understanding, absolutely.
Yeah, I still do.
Yeah,
I still do it that way. Or adjust accordingly on the older when.
I was going to say, you don't have a car that has one of them on it.
I mean, on the old GMs in the old days, that's what I used to do. That was it. You just move that black box, black cylinder, whatever it is, that cap.
It's a Bakelite cap.
We were showing you that before.
Yeah, they moved it adjustable.
You have little notches on it.
Yeah, and that's all I did. It was.
In fact, it says rich and lean right on it, and they always recommend starting at the center notch.
I went to school with both of those guys,
and that was where they, you start there, and you could do a summer adjustment, winter adjustment.
And then later on, they found out about Chris, and they started riveting them.
That's right.
You couldn't screw with them anymore.
They would rivet them. But in the rebuild kits, they gave you self-tapping screws.
That's it. So because they know if you evaporate to get in there in the first place, it's okay. We'll let you in the club.
Love my high-grade kits.
So let me tell you real fast about the bleach incident.
Yes, let's hear about the bleach.
Oh, yeah. So I went and changed the clamp to the top radiator hose of the Dodge because the clamp was, I would say, malfunctioning and working its way. It wasn't clamping; it was working its way loose, and every once in a while it would
cramping.
It wasn't Jed.
Yeah, it would leak. So what I did do was I just swapped out the clamp, but in the process, I knew that I had gone through a certain amount of coolant, so I just wanted to top it off. So I go into the garage, and I have in the garage a bottle of Clorox, a Clorox bottle, I should say. But it's long been gone of bleach.
You really shouldn't.
Looney Tunes music.
You really shouldn't do that, though. Cross-pollination and... Well, whatever.
Contamination.
The bottle has been free of bleach for the last 20 years.
It's really the labeling that I'm hung up. I'm really more hung up on the labeling than anything.
Well,
let's see what happens. So
I take the bottle that's half filled with water and I bring it to the front where I'm working on the car in the driveway, hood's open, and I go to pour it, and a woman from across the street comes running across the street going, no, stop. And I'm like, what? I didn't think for a second that she was talking to me at first, but no, she was coming across the street to yell at me about she's pointing at the bottle, and she's going, bleach. You're putting bleach in your car. And I'm like, no, it's water. But like I was telling Ray, I was thinking about taking a swig out of it, but I went,
that would have been the capper.
I wouldn't be here
Perhaps
today.
She was speaking from personal experience.
Maybe.
But just out of curiosity, I wonder what would happen if, God forbid, anybody did mix up anything like that and poured bleach in their coolant.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not a chemist, but that can't be good.
That can't be good.
I don't think a little bit would be that bad either. The thing I'm more concerned about is why that hose keeps loosening. Well, we've established it's a plastic tank radiator. Joe, have you had any data with that happening with hoses loosening on the plastic tank?
Not chronically.
I haven't either.
I think it was just a faulty clamp. That's the way I'm looking at it. Clamp on it, and we'll see. We will see. Got the car out there now.
Did you change the clamp the last time you were in there? I know you tightened it at work, and then you followed up with it at home. But did you change the clamp that had been on there?
No.
Okay, so
that was the original clamp. It loosened up again.
Shouldn't it have come with a spring-style clamp? Originally,
I don't
OEM?
like those.
Why they use
no, whether you like it or not, I'm just asking. That's what should have come with it. I'm using those on my car. I use them on fuel lines, and they work. They do work because you know what? It puts a 360-degree pressure on that fitting on the hose.
That's correct. Now, Chris, though, are you the type that uses the half-inch drive to?
You want to see the rubber coming through the louvers of the.
Are you that type?
Yes, unfortunately, I am that type.
Okay,
I don't tighten it down. I don't animal it down, but I will tighten it to the point where
it's got to be snug.
It's going to be really more than snug.
Okay, yeah, because I've seen some people just tighten the living crap out of it.
Like I said, when the rubber comes through the louvers of the hose, that's how you know you're too tight.
Yeah, it's too tight.
Your hose has become a chia pet.
Yeah, when you start seeing the edges of the clamp digging into the hose, you know that's not it.
I'm more concerned with that, and I'd like to know, some follow-up on that.
With the hose clamp replaced, I think we've successfully solved that problem.
Okay.
So that's where I'm going with. That's the story I'm going with.
See.
And that's what that's the story I'm sticking to.
Now you know I'm going to be watching over you like a hawk with that. You know
Yes,
that.
I know.
The hawk will be
broken.
I know. I have to be on my best behavior. Joe D. Obi Don Canoli, the man,
clamp watcher,
the man in the clouds, is now down here to watch and survey on a weekly basis. But we've burned another hour here, gentlemen. For Ray Guarino and, of course, Joe D., I'm Chris Switzer. And the best advice we always give here on this program, say it with me, don't follow us home.
Especially if you got bleach.
Talk to you on Thursday. See ya.
Bye.